What's up, everybody? It's your boy Nate. Today we are diving into something I'm super excited about. It's WAN 2.1, which is a brand new video generation AI model that is completely open source and free. Recently, we released 2 sets of workflows for WAN 2.1, which we've covered in another video that I'm going to link down below if you guys are interested in checking that out. But for a really quick recap, we have the first set being the Ultimate Native Video Generation Suite, which includes workflows for image to video and text to video using the native ComfyUI nodes for running WAN 2.1. And then the second set that we have is the Advanced Video Generation Suite, which includes image to video, text to video, and video to video workflows. The main difference between these two is that the advanced set has video to video options, and it also uses ComfyUI Wan wrappers, which allows you to do a whole lot more. One of the major features of the advanced version is that it allows you to generate videos much faster, but it does take a little bit more of a setup. So if you guys are completely new to video generation and ComfyUI, it might be helpful to just start out with the Ultimate Native Suite because it's a little bit easier and faster of a setup. However, if you guys have messed around with things like HunYuan or LTX and generated videos and used ComfyUI before, then I highly recommend the Advanced Video Generation Suite, because then you're probably going to be a little bit more familiar with those workflows and some of the options that you get with those. Now, we've actually covered both of those workflows in detail in another video that I'm linking down below. So for today, I'm going to be focusing on our brand new set, which is our exclusive supporter advanced workflows. And the reason why I'm making this video is because there's a bunch of options in there that I think would be helpful to where even if you're not a supporter of the Patreon, at least you're going to be able to see some of the things that you can do with WAN 2.1 and see some of the more advanced stuff that goes into making these workflows. That way you guys can get a better understanding as to whether or not this is going to be useful to you. Anyways, I'm super excited. I know you are too. All right, let's go. And this is what the workflow looks like. So just like all of our workflows, they read from left to right, with the very first step being step 1, loading in your models, and then you just go along each column until you're finished to get your saved video. So here we have the load models section, load text encoder, load clip vision, load your VAE. And if you guys are curious where to get any of these files, we have them listed out on the Patreon page right here. So you guys can either just click on this and it takes you to this section here, which might look super daunting, but don't worry, because we also have a pretty easy to follow guide. So you can see actually all of these models are categorized by image to video, text to video, their VAE, clip vision, and text encoders. And you only need one of each of these options to get these workflows to work. If you guys are curious where to place them, just follow the folders right here and place those files in those corresponding folders. If you don't even want to leave the workflow itself, we also have this important notes and download links section at the very end, which has this listed out right here as well. And it should be super easy to follow. The next section, be loading your image and your prompt, which is going to be the second column. And then over here in the third column, we have our video generation settings, which for the most part, you guys don't actually have to touch at all. The only thing that you're really probably going to be concerned with is this quality select option, in which number 1 is the lowest quality but fastest generation. Number 2 will give you great quality but a little bit medium speed of your generation. And then 3 is going to be your maximum quality at the slowest generations. And if you guys were curious how this actually works in the back end over here, we have this logic for the mode selector. Changing those quality settings actually changes how many iterations it does per frame. So on the lowest setting, it does 10 steps. On the great setting, it does 30. And then on the maximum setting, it does 50. And if you guys wanted to change these presets, you can, but these were just values that I saw ended up producing really great results time and time again. And that's why we have them preset here in this video generation section. And then at the very end is just your saving video, which you can see it comes out nice and easy to see at the very end. So moving forward, after you have loaded in all of your models, you're going to see this pick your add-on section, which is the main big difference in this exclusive workflow. The reason why we added this is because some of our supporters had asked us to add in a couple more features when they're generating videos to make their lives easier. But these are things that you can add to your workflows, and even the free ones that we've posted up before pretty easily as well. We have them organized based on which add-ons you're probably going to want to keep on most of the time. And those ones are going to have the icons right here. And then at the bottom are some of the more advanced add-ons for this workflow. At the very top here, you're gonna see video frame interpolation. And the way that this one works is that if you check out over here on the Save Animated WebP, you're gonna see that the default frame rate is 16 frames per second. In fact, most generations that you're gonna see online are just running at 16 frames. But when we have in this video frame interpolation node, what it's going to do is it's going to double the amount of frames that are generated, and it's going to produce a nice smooth video, which you can see here in our video combine node. And on this one, we have it set to 30 frames per second, and it's just creating those in-between frames to give you a much smoother result. It doesn't take too much time to generate extra frames. In fact, most of our generations, it's only added 10 seconds total to the entire time. So it's one that we typically recommend to leave on most of the time. Another node that we have right underneath it is the Enhance Video node. This one works by just enhancing your videos overall. It's brought over from the ComfyUI workflows, in which enhancing the video essentially produce much better looking results by making your video look more coherent. So sometimes without this on, you may see some warping or some edges that look super blurred and just not contrasted enough. And yeah, this was a super awesome node that we typically tend to leave on, and it doesn't really impact your generation speeds that much either. The next node is probably going to be the most important one for this workflow, which is the WAN video LoRa. And the reason why we even made this one is because using LoRas adds in so much more depth when creating videos with WAN. So by default, you may see some really awesome generations that we got here with text to video and even image to video. But once you start getting into the LoRas, it really takes your generations to a whole nother level. So if you're curious how we were able to generate these different Hadouken action scenes with these different characters, it was all thanks to using some really awesome LoRas. So you can see here, we can have this bear doing it, the fox, and also this wolf. And it works well with just a bunch of different scenarios. So that's why we really love this one a lot. And we have all links to our favorite LoRas, which are going to be in this Patreon post as well. Another one that you may see is the squish effect, which is super fun to play with. And it works on all sorts of different video footage as well. And we're going to be updating this once we find more LoRas that we enjoy and ones that work really well with WAN. If you guys were curious to download it yourself, you just go ahead, click on the Civitai link, and you're going to be able to download that model, plug it into your LoRa's folder, and then you're going to see it pop up right here in your WAN Video LoRa loader. Now, one thing about using LoRa's though is that they do typically require very specific phrases or trigger words, and that's why we have actually this next section here, which is the prompt replace option. The way that this one works is if you guys were to take a look at this positive prompt over here, it says the video shows a hashtag subject. The subject performs a rotation, 360 degrees rotation. And this little section here is actually the trigger phrase for the LoRa that we're using, which is going to be that 360 LoRa over here in the loader. And then another thing that you're going to see here is that we're using hashtag subject. And the reason for this is because let's say you want to use this LoRa for multiple different subjects and images as your base, but you don't want to go through each time and specifically change the whole phrase or change everything inside of it. So an easy way to do this is to use this prompt replace node, which as you can see here, it's going to find hashtag subject and then replace it with whatever we have here. So in this case, we have boy. And if you guys were curious how this actually works or what the final prompt looks like, over here on the right hand side, we have our final prompt that's actually getting used. And that's going to be the video shows a boy. The boy performs a rotation, 360 degrees rotation. And that is the final prompt. But let's say you wanted to change your input image and you wanted to change your entire subject. You don't have to go in and mess with this. All you have to do then is just change it from boy here to man sitting on a stool. And it's going to go ahead then and replace that in your prompt. Or you can change this to just about anything. So it doesn't even have to be a person. It could be a car. It could be whatever you want. And that's how we were able to generate a bunch of these awesome looking videos without ripping out our hairs, changing the prompt every single time. Now, the other options here you're going to notice don't have any icons. That's because these ones are a little bit more niche for your use case and your setup, and you're actually not really going to have to dive into these too much. So the first one here is WAN Video TeaCache, and TeaCache is something that you need installed in your computer in order for this to work. We actually have a guide to install TeaCache up on the Patreon as well. And the way that this works is that it just helps generate videos much faster. It's probably about a 20% speed increase. Underneath that, we have WAN Video Torch Compile, which requires you to have Triton installed. And this one also speeds up your generations by a more significant amount, by about 50%. And for the final two options here, we have clear cache all. And this is useful if you guys are batching a bunch of videos and you're noticing that you're getting a little bit of cache leaking or VRAM leaking and your system's just slowing down instead of speeding up. We actually have this one set up to where if you turn it on at the very end of the workflow, once it's done processing everything, it's going to clear your cache before starting up the next generation. Another thing that we have here is the WAN context node, which helps you generate longer videos. So a really cool thing about this is that let's say you didn't want to generate videos of just 5 seconds, but even longer, like 10 seconds, or I've even seen examples as long as a minute. What you would do then is just change your number of frames here, turn on your WAN context for long videos, and it's going to be able to use those previously generated frames to influence the later frames so that you're getting a more coherent video. And by default, these settings worked pretty well, so that's why we just have them here. But again, for most cases, generating longer videos is also going to take a significantly longer time. So I typically would leave this off and not really mess with it too much unless you guys know exactly what it is that you want to generate. Now, moving forward, once you guys are done with that, essentially all the other steps are super easy to follow, to where you load in your image, you load in your prompt, you use the prompt replace if you want to, or if not. And we also have the negative prompt right here, which I've actually gotten really awesome results just leaving this at bad video quality for the negative prompt. And then over in the video generation settings, you don't really have to mess with this at all because most of these are already optimized to their default settings. And once you do change though your quality select, a really cool thing that we have set up in the backend as well is to influence your naming. So if you guys were to set this to a specific quality preset, you're going to see that the exported file is going to get prepended with that quality name in the forefront so that it's easier for you to keep track of your generations. And that pretty much covers all of the main sections of this workflow. Now, if you guys do run into any struggles, you can always leave a comment down below and I'll try my best to help you out with it. But other than that, I hope you guys have a whole lot of fun generating some awesome videos. If you guys do generate something super cool, go ahead and send it to us on Discord. I always love checking it out and seeing what you guys come up with. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope to catch you in the next one. Until next time, all right, peace.